Brandy Nicole Avery is one dynamic sister that is representing her sisters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated very well. She has written the book, The 4-Week Financial Power Plan, a financial action workbook. And she is a sought-after figure in the Columbus, Ohio area, where she educates on credit and finances. We caught up with Mrs. Avery at the popular Recess Getaways, which was held in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and where we all had a good time. But most importantly, we got a chance to sit in on Brandy's annual wealth seminar. We're on Great TV, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, Recess Getaways, and this is my sister representing, how y'all say it?
OH, Ohio.
OH, and then
the IO.
Okay.
So I say OH, you say IO. There you go.
Representing Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Brandy, where were you made?
I was made at Wittenberg University, fall 2000, The Rock 2 Club.
Brandy Avery is her name. If you are in Ohio, of course, you can look her up. But she is a financial guru. And I was told that you love money, you love talking about money, you love empowering people about money, but more importantly about financial freedom. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit, and we'll talk about the book,
okay,
and everything there is to know about financial freedom. But how did you get started and why?
Oh my God. So the short answer, how did I get started? I was poor. I was, okay. And growing up, we faced homelessness, poverty, my sisters and my mother and I, and that was my first, I guess, engagement with money and the lack thereof, really. Mm-hmm. And that's when I knew, really, at the age of 6, as early as I can remember, that I needed to understand this industry. Something wasn't right, and that experience really was a catalyst in my life. From there, went all the way up and just had some real pivotal points in my life as far as money. I became a financial controller for a hospital in Columbus, Ohio, and I dealt with high dollar cases. And my first case was a 21-year-old woman who had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was the person who had to sign off on the financial piece to say that we can move forward with her procedure, her bone marrow transplant. But because she didn't have a payer source, I had to sign no. And that was the business of the hospital. So I've had just pivotal moments on money, and really it was the lack thereof, the situations that I've seen with the lack thereof, that's really inspired me to dig deeper into the subject.
So let me ask you a question, because and this may be a taboo question, but what is, and I hate to say it like this, but this is the only way that I think say it to get the point across.
Okay.
But what's the difference between black money and white money? Because I know there is one.
I think the biggest difference, and we just talked about this a little bit today, is that we don't have any ownership.
Okay.
We don't have loan money. We're not passing. We are living still in a cycle of generational poverty. We're still experiencing the remnants of poverty and slavery. So our money is real short. The African-American dollar is in and out of the community in less than a couple hours, 6 hours, whereas Asian dollars and European dollars, their money is staying in their community for anywhere 13, 14 to almost a month as far as days is concerned. So we are consumers. We don't own anything. We're not owners. We're consumers. And that's really the big difference between the black dollar and the white dollar and how we manage our money in our community.
Now, do you think it's because of displacement, or do you think that there's a real disparity with just knowledge and knowing how to use,
Yeah, I think knowledge is
a fair question.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair question, and that's a powerful question. And I think knowledge is a big thing. Again, I think people complicate the financial service industry and really the rules and regulations of what you need to do to become wealthy and achieve wealth and financial independence. But because we are not knowledgeable and we're not in environments like this, in wealth seminars and surrounding ourselves in these networks, like you really got to get engulfed in this network, because how do you know what the average wage is if you're not talking about money? So your question, a lot of people think it's taboo still to talk about how much you make an hour. Well, how do you know that you're getting a fair deal if you're not talking to a colleague or a loved one to try to determine, well, what is everybody else making? You could be getting paid $3 less. And you could be working your butt off, but you need to know why. So conversation, and then education, I think, is critical and key. And then really just activating a plan, Black people, we feel a pride. And we don't want to expose our own skeletons in our closet, and because of that, I think we become a victim of our own pride.
So, do you think that it's possible for
just say the average, the average black person, we're specifically speaking about that, to have some type of financial freedom? Do you think that's attainable?
Yeah, I think it's very attainable. Just like I said, I reflect on my own journey, and I always share my journey just because we were in the bottom, what I'm saying? I always say we were under the rock,
Right.
and everything that we have attained as a family, myself, we've worked for. So really just engulfing ourselves in the industry. So it absolutely is attainable. It's about goals, it's about discipline, it's about behaviors, it's about mindset, and it's about really being strategic and serious about this is what your goals is, and this is the outcome that I desire. I always tell people that we are not supposed to be broke, busted, and disgusted. Everything that the light touches should be ours. That's the way that it was designed. So we truly are a victim of our own past, and we can obtain it. We do. We just have to put work forth the effort, and you have to work for it. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Now, as far as like how people, I guess the first step in educating themselves, obviously they can contact you.
Right.
So do that. We'll give the
Mm-hmm.
information out, at the end. But what's the first step in empowering yourself about just learning more about finances?
Truth and transparency. Whenever I meet with my clients, it's about truth and transparency. If you're not in a position where you can be honest with yourself, meaning that I am in debt, my credit is low, or I'm an overspender, I'm a compulsive shopper, it's the simple things about truth and transparency. Once you can look yourself in the mirror and identify this is who I am and I have a problem, or I want more, or I'm not satisfied, and that's the first step. Once you have that recognition, then most people typically are activated to be able to put forth the steps needed to get out of debt and to obtain financial independence.
Okay. Now, when you are educating, I know Recess Getaways is one aspect of you educating people, and this is an annual event that happens over the summer months. But the people that come to Recess are people that are obviously financially astute in some capacity, so they can afford a trip like this.
Right.
But starting with what you do, how and where can people educate themselves? So not only places like Recess, but what are some of the other resources?
Right, so absolutely. So my website is full of information as well. That's financialpowernetwork.net. Everything's spelled correctly. So again, it's financialpowernetwork.net. I also have written books and I have resources out there. This is one of my books. It's the 4-week financial power plan. This is really designed for a person who's really at the beginning, or if they're even intermediate as far as their financial plan is concerned. It's a self-study. It's a workbook. So it does make you do the work. It's not just a read. You are activated and engaged. And at the end of the workbook, you actually have a plan, and you can get that plan together within 4 weeks as well. And I also do classes and private consultations as well, which that information is all listed on my website. So if an individual wants to work one-on-one with me, they can contact me and we can work one-on-one to help them meet their goal.
Okay. Best way to contact you? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, phone call?
Yes. This is the world of technology. I do play in financial technology. Facebook, which is B. Avery. My Facebook business name is Financial Power Network. Email is always a great way, which is info@financialpowernetwork.net. And then, however else, Instagram as well. So email, Instagram, Facebook, or if they just want to send a text message. Text messages is always well. So if you go on my website, you can get the telephone number, or you can do a note right on the website as well.
Okay. So let me give you a quick challenge question.
Okay.
Right? So we're talking to the D9 now. So all the Divine 9 right now. We have membership-wise about 2.5 million on average members across the Divine 9 across the world, around the world, right? So what is your financial charge? Because obviously, the Black church is an institution that is very powerful financially. But how can the Divine 9 make that step to making a financial imprint in not only society, but in the world? What would you think? What do you think we could do?
So I would say one thing that I do for Delta Sigma Theta is I do serve on our economic development committee. I do facilitations. I help whenever I can. And I think we really need to just go back to our values, which we all typically have some type of economic thrust involved with our sororities and fraternities. And we really need to get into that and activate that. And that really should be one of our focal points, creating programs, impactful programs that's really having outcome driven programming, so that when we do something, there's some type of goal or outcome attached to it. And then I think also financial literacy from the high school perspective is important. Middle school, elementary as well, but I don't think any of our students should be leaving out of the high school without having some sense of financial literacy. And that's an area that the Divine Nine, we play heavily in. We are educators. A lot of us are educators by nature, and a lot of our programming, whether it's economic development or just education youth services, all stems around education. So I think that we really need to get serious about programming, and then programming with our youth, because when you start at that age group, at that younger age group, then we break that cycle of generational poverty at an earlier state before they have to make the mistakes that we've made and then learn the hard way. So I think the D9 can simply just engage deeper and focus on outcome-driven programming.
Sounds good. So it's so cool. I want to commend you, compliment you, and say you.
Thank you.
You that sister that's doing it. Because what's funny is, we're on this trip, right, and we've been turning up. We've been seeing each other like, "What's up, girl? What's up?" But to see you like this today is, it's very inspiring.
Yes, it's the other side that everybody,
it's the other side of you. I'm just like, Brandy, you better do this.
And I truly love it. I do. I love this. I always say whenever I teach or facilitate, this is the reason why I wake up every morning. This is my gift that God has given to me. This is my purpose. This is my journey. So I truly love it. And I want my people to be free. It feels good. I've experienced a lot of debt, bankruptcy survivor, and being debt free is two different worlds.
Wow.
It's two different worlds. So, and it's the most amazing, freeing spirit feeling that anybody can ever obtain.
Well, there you go. DST's finest right here.